Hello, everybody. It's Saturday, and yes, I'm live now. Sorry about that little AM PM screw up, but hey, live TV is tricky. Anyway, it's Saturday. Let's get into the story. We have lots of good stuff to cover. This is the what happened this week, and today we're going to talk about not only stuff that actually happened, who won the week, what changed, who changed, little all-time high update, a cycle update, how to make an easy 16x, so much more. Also, robots are learning, and we had other big news that's coming that will shock you. A new category of economics is coming to the world, and you need to be aware of it to prepare. Thank you so much. And yes, hello, everybody. Indigo Hammer, Max Grease, the whole gang is here, and Sean Donnelly, Team Tesla, thank you for supporting us as well. I'll make this quick, 20 minutes of your time to catch up and not financial advice. And shout out to Bartos. Hey, James, you're my first and only person that I subscribed on Patreon. Woohoo. Thank you. By the way, when I started the channel, I didn't even know what Patreon was. You all suggested I should set one up. So here we are. It's been great. Let's look at Bitcoin over the last 7 days. The few things that actually have beaten it are hype, Solana, and Pi, whatever that is. So it's been weird, but in dollar terms, it's been pretty darn good. Bitcoin right now is $109,200, up 5.44% for the week. Doesn't sound like a lot. We were at $112,000, 3,000 higher than we are now. Solana had a good week too, up to 177, up about 6%. ETH up 1%, etc. A lot of red in the legacy coinage, but we'll get more into that later. Now, this is a cool little chart from Carl Menger. I thought it was quite profound. And basically, in 2020, if you had $100, you would have actually 74 today. That's wrong. 76, sorry. In 2025, you got $76. So basically, you lose $24 holding cash. But in Bitcoin, it's a little bit different. If you had $100 in 2020, you'd have $1,201 today. Not bad. But the real secret to this is doing the math. Your fiat is going to zero, and your Bitcoin is going up forever because it's hard and precious. As long as it keeps on getting adopted, it's going to keep on going up. By the way, watch out. I'm doing a Patreon post later regarding AI, which also is a little bit scary. Anyway, but if you take 12.01, that is the, let's say, $1 goes to $12 in Bitcoin in 5 years, and $1 goes to 76 cents in 5 years. You take the 12 divided by the 0.76, you get 16x. That's how you can make a quick 16x return. And I have a dear friend who's been sitting on $600,000 cash in a bank account since 2020, and he will not move it. He's waiting for the market to dip. And when it does dip, he asks me, or when I ask him, did you buy yet? And he says, no, I'm waiting for it to dip further. It looks like it's going down more. I give up. Anyway, can't save them all, as they say. Now, current cycle. Where are we, ladies and gentlemen? This is from Bitcoin Chartbot. And it's by Charts BTC. Now AI is actually creating charts for us. We're all going to be out of a job, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, Josh, good to see you in here, buddy. It's kind of terrifying, but I want to talk about this one for a second. First of all, 2014, 2017 is the blue. Focus on that because they say that is most representative of the cycle we are in right now. Yellow is 2018 to 2021. Sadly, that cycle was full of nefarious characters and people who actually put a lid on price. So we didn't get the full run we should have gotten in the yellow. But this is the important part. If the black is the current cycle, now, if history repeats, we're not going to get the blue, of course. It was a much smaller asset back then. But now we're a bona fide asset class. And there's a lot of money in the world, a lot of money in bonds and treasuries that needs to find a home. That could be Bitcoin. If that does happen, we could easily surpass the yellow. But just take for a second right now. If we just follow the yellow pattern, sorry, I got a video. If we just follow the yellow pattern, the most extraordinary thing about that is the following. And Let me make sure I get the numbers right. So I zoom in. All right. The previous current price, 109K right now in this cycle. Price 4 years ago was 38K, and it's scaled to approximately 192K. Price 8 years ago is 2,400, scaled to be 217,000. And if we run multiples of the previous cycle, which was capped, manipulated, we could get to $252,000. Okay. But remember, the only thing that runs Bitcoin is money flow. We need money to continue coming in. And I estimate we need at least another $30+ billion to flow in to potentially get us this level if the long-term holders don't sell and people don't take profit, which of course they will do as well. But anyway, just taking that little line in the sand there, the red arrow, yellow cycle top, 252 is possible. But that means we need to do a 1.5x from here, which is a big stretch, especially considering we came up from 15,500 to 100,000. So either way, it's been awesome. But that's where we are with the cycle. And the other thing to bear in mind is there is time left for this cycle. It typically, if history repeats, runs till October, November. But remember, we lost 2 months because of the tariff tantrums, which did again re-enter this week. So sorry for spending so much time in that, but it's important to know where we are. All right, next slide. This is interesting. I just was thinking, going back in time, the first time I ever bought Bitcoin was 2017. And Bitcoin's up 12,000% since 2017. Yeah, it's had a good run since 2000. But again, what this highlights is the importance of being in early. You know, you get a 6x by entering in, say, November 2022. Or if you get in say, 2017, it becomes a lot more. So this is a quick chart on that as well. And we did hit that historic all-time high this week of 112,000. Again, 12s keep popping up today. 12,000%, 112,000. And another cool chart as well. This is from the team at Glassnode. More than about 420,000 Bitcoin have a cost basis of around 94,000. And they say this is one of the strongest support zones for the current cycle. It's a very dense cluster of accumulation. Again, it's held through consolidation in early May, and it could provide the launch pad for breakouts to new all-time highs. So watch this space carefully. 94,000 could be support. Cryptolicious, thank you for coming. And if we do go, by the way, if we do go to say 150K, not saying that's going to happen, but if we do, that could be the new bear market bottom. Or I believe it could be more like 70K. We're not sure. Either way, we'll watch this carefully, especially what people do at these levels. Now, other things that happened this weekend, we had open interest skyrocketing on Deribit to the highest ever, nearly $50 billion in open interest. Tons of action at $300 strikes for next month. It's insane. But this shows you the level of speculative frenzy that's actually happening in the space too. So more goodness. And by the way, happy holiday weekend to everybody in the United States. It's Memorial Day weekend. And this was a cool little piece from Bitcoin Archive. Shout out to Archie and Bitcoin Broccoli. Boomers in Brisbane are the new Degens. And just listening to this video, it was quite interesting. And I've noticed a common pattern. I'll go off the ranch here for a second. A common pattern with people who watch my channel. A lot of Brits, a lot of Australians, a lot of Kiwis, a lot of Canadians, and then Dutch, a lot of Dutch as well, and some Scandinavians. But in Australia, a lot of boomers are struggling to get ahead, but they're very creative and they're not that risk averse. But these degens in Brisbane know the only way for them to leave a legacy and survive their pension is to invest in Bitcoin. And that's what they're doing. But they also spoke about leaving things for their grandkids too. And boomers are now the fastest growing demographic of Bitcoin investors in Australia. So shout out to the Australians out there. If you're there, drop a little flag or a kangaroo in the chat. It'd be funny. And not just that, we have Panama. Panama City Mayor hints at building a new Bitcoin reserve too. We did speak in yesterday's video about the dominoes. But now Panama wants to come too. Again, soon at this rate, everybody's going to jump in. And I've never, and I said this last week as well, but I'll say it again, I've never been so optimistic and bullish about Bitcoin in my entire life by far. I think it was Tuesday's Okta. I said I've seen the most bullish signals ever in the history of looking at any asset, until we get to another one in a few minutes, by the way, which is also looking pretty bullish. But again, that's and 2 days after that video, Bitcoin hit a new all-time high. Or was it 3 days? I'm not sure. It's been a crazy week. And another fun thing we did cover a month ago on DCA was the pair trade. And that was after gold ran. It was very clear it got overbought and Bitcoin didn't move. And that was unusual. Now, in a recent survey, 80% of Americans want to diversify US gold reserves into Bitcoin. Wow. That was not on my bingo card for 2025. And I do a detailed 40 predictions every year for the following year. And I never thought of that too. But again, 2025 has been incredible so far. So thank you all for being with me on the ride. Now, this is another sign, though, that the US investors do know what's up. And if you look here, I shared this the other day, the gold monthly flows down 2.5 billion. The Bitcoin monthly flows up, IBIT alone, only ITF, over 7.5 billion. So people in the US are dumping their gold and sticking it into Bitcoin. And that is very apparent here. So yes, 80% would love that to happen. And maybe, can you imagine? I think something like 30 to 40% of Americans, they say, do hold Bitcoin. But if they could exert pressure on their political representatives, maybe they could take a little bit of the gold off the table and stick it into Bitcoin. Wow, can you imagine that? Anyway, Adam Back, friend of the channel, he said Bitcoin will replace or back, you can't make this up, Adam Back says Bitcoin will back all fiat, which was really, really cool. And there's many different versions of the value proposition for Bitcoin, but having a fiat backed with Bitcoin is something that I've always dreamed of, as well as trade of oil for things like Bitcoin and hard commodities, stuff like that. So fingers crossed, there'll come a time where this comes true. So shout out to Adam. And be careful out there, friends in the UK. This is the UK government has asked crypto firms to collect user data from 2026. And there's a hefty fine for misreporting. The US taxman is watching Bitcoiners. No wonder so many of them have fled to Dubai and Portugal and Cyprus now, and many other far-flung places to avoid the taxman who's coming hard in 2026. This is basically, and I don't mean anything bad to the UK government or the tax authorities, but when you tax your people to death, you just scare them away. And these are the people that actually have wings. They can afford to escape the matrix. So very sad. Just anyway, if you are in the UK and you are next year reporting your crypto holdings, etc., you probably want to tell the truth, or else there's big fines. Not only for those who are supposed to be collecting information and giving it to the government, but also if you have to give some information yourself, keep an eye out for that. And speaking of Bitcoin, but Ethereum and Solana too. Solana has flipped Bitcoin and Ethereum on 7-day chain revenue. This is a new one. Beat both, which is good. And crypto users are returning very fast to the space. For some reason, I can't quite put my finger on it, but Feb, March, part of April were really dead in crypto. DeFi usage was down, activity was down, on-chain activity on Bitcoin was dead. It was kind of a shocking time, but now the users are coming back fast, probably driven by new all-time highs in Bitcoin. But you can see as well, new all-time high in daily transactions on the Solana chain. Coincidentally, just to compare some numbers, we see some changes in the rankings here. Solana now does 10 times what Base does, but it does 100 times what Ethereum does, but trades at a small fraction of the market cap, which is bizarre. And Base, with 10 million users, or 10 million transactions a day does 3 times what Sui does as well. So a lot of interesting stuff happening on, layer 2s on Ethereum. Tron is number 3 on this list, and Year is number 4. So it's good to see users coming back. And Solana is number 1 for ecosystem for new developers in 2024 with 7,625. All the new developers are going to one chain. And why is that? Well, if you go to a chain, you invest your time, you want to be able to get some return for that. So the more developers you have, the more applications you have, and the more applications you have, the more users you have, and the more users you have, the more activity you have on chain, and the more capital there is, the more activity, and the more capital, the more DeFi usage. It just spins around. That's what I've been saying since the very beginning, since 2021. I said, follow the developers. And I always gave the crude example of, I used to watch people, they used to work for Microsoft, and then they'd bounce to Google, and then they'd bounce to Facebook, and then they'd bounce to Cash App, Square, etc. You just watch, the developers are very good at identifying what the next big honeypot is. So watch that very carefully. And shout out as well to, make sure you can see the slide, to XRP, Hedera, and Algorand for participating. They get their participation award. So well done to those guys too for being on the map. And Mooch, speaking of Algorand, it's interesting. He wrote the book on Algorand. Was all in on Algorand, I think, at one stage back in 2021. But now, the Mooch spits facts. Skybridge Capital CEO said Solana will be the principal operating layer for tokenization of real-world assets, stocks, and bonds. That also, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, was not on my bingo card for 2025. But good to see Mooch saying that as well. And yes, Terry Burke says, yes, price goes nowhere. Terry, Solana went from $97 to $180 just over the past 6 weeks. So it's recovering and it takes time. But yes, this is Bitcoin's time in the sun. Bitcoin runs first and then the others run later. That's just how it works. You got to be patient. But again, just look at the data. Everything runs on Solana. Okay, that's it. And markets short term are very irrational. But long term, they are a weighing machine. So thank you. And thank you, Sean Donnelly, as well, for all you do. So that's a little bit of Solana news. And let's talk a little bit about, this is very important. The AI is also back. These are the big returns over the last month for some of our top names. Tesla up 33% for the month. NVIDIA up 26% for the month. Microsoft 20% for the month. Meta 19%. All of the AI stuff came back with a vengeance. What's going on? Well, the market is going risk on. We had crazy ETF flows, not just Bitcoin ETFs, but the ETFs in the last week just pulled in over $32 billion. Year-to-date inflows, $400 billion. And this now sets up for basically 2025 being on track to be one of the best years ever for ETF demand, spearheaded by Bitcoin. No surprise there. But anyway, they're back. It's good. Market's going risk off. Remember, there's still $7.2 trillion in money market funds that needs a home. Once rates start cutting down soon, I hope, we should start really seeing another afterburner. Now this one, IC3 Blink, thank you. And did I miss any? Super Soul Man is there. Bitcoin Broccoli, thank you everybody as well for coming. Really appreciate it. The new mission, all right, is what's called bot-based GDP growth. For quite a while, I've been talking about how, there's 3 ways that which an economy can get out of its death spiral. 1 is debasing the currency. 2 is taxing the citizens to death, which pushes them offshore, they leave. Or 3, grow GDP like mad. And Elon Musk, this week, he came to the obvious conclusion that accelerating GDP growth is essential. Doge can do some savings, like $500 billion or whatever in a few months, but that's not enough compared to the 37 trillion in debt that's growing ever faster every year, every month. 100 billion a month, a trillion, sometimes every 3 months. That's a big problem. But the US needs to grow productivity fast to get out of the hole. And all of a sudden, Elon Musk has made this his new mission. Elon is back to accelerate GDP with Robotonomics. Shout out to Sanjay as well. Robotonomics. Write that word down. It'll probably be a real thing. That is the ability to grow the economy with robots. Basically, dramatically enhance GDP in a big way. A very, very big way. And Elon will be back to spending 24/7 at work, sleeping in conference server factory rooms, and he'll be super focused on Tesla, X, AI, etc. And there's a Starship launch next week too. So founder mode activated. Shout out to Chewy as well for this cool graphic. And another cool thing too, I'll turn off my little camera here, but Optimus is now learning from videos. All of a sudden, we had silence from Optimus for many, many months. And now you've got Optimus cooking stuff in the microwave, cooking stuff on a cooking pot, ironing, vacuuming, what else? Washing dishes, organizing things, working in a factory, putting metal things on things. I mean, these are coming. And the focus now, the focus is going to be growing the US economy with these bots. They will have 5,000 of them by the year end, and then they'll start doing a lot of productive work. And this image here is sideways because it's so long, I couldn't quite put it in a picture. But XAI just received 168 Tesla megapacks to create Colossus 2, the second data center, which would be 10x larger than the first. And it's going to be the first gigawatt supercluster. Okay? Gigawatt is enough energy to run a city. And I always go back to all the FUD against Bitcoin for Bitcoin mining. All of a sudden, nobody cares about the use of electricity anymore. It's become a war, everybody. AI is a competitive war. It's those nations that have AI, and those are probably going to be two of them. It's going to be China and the US. They'll be the ones competing against each other. So all of a sudden, the FUD about electricity bad, use bad, Bitcoin mining bad is now dead and gone. Because now people understand not only is Bitcoin important, but AI is critical too. If you can't beat them, join them, embrace or die, whatever phrase I like to say. It's all of the above. And there's also a big Tesla spike in US sales. Here in California, every third car on the road is a Tesla. That's it. And tons of the new Model Ys I see every single day running around. And sales have spiked so far in the month of May. So we'll see. Again, they did have the change over the line, but I expect results to be pretty good in Q2. It'll take time to get back. But again, this is not a car story. It's an autonomy story. Self-driving cars are launching in June, which is 6 days away. And a little bit of macro news as well, which is also kind of good news. Annual inflation eased for the second straight month, which is good. That should give the Fed the gunpowder to cut rates, which will pump our risk on bags too, which is awesome. And a little bit of bad news, though, if you're looking for a house. This is crazy, crazy bad. The 30-year mortgage rate jumped to 7.5%. And it's kind of funny. That is the highest level this century, i.e. since the year 2000. And I remember in 1999 getting a mortgage, it was exactly 7.5%. So if you've been around long enough, you've seen 7.5% before. It doesn't stop you from buying things like multi-unit properties. But be careful out there. It does make it really hard. And finishing, invested. Thanks for coming. Finishing with meme du jour. A person who never made a mistake, never tried anything new. Remember, sometimes you need to try new things. You need to take some risk if you want to achieve anything. And if you're not making mistakes, you're not trying, and you're probably not going to get anywhere. So feel free to make an error. Very important. Thank you, Cat with a K, Sean D, TND Tesla, the whole gang that's here. Hit the like and subscribe. And I'll see you all tomorrow for a little question regarding MicroStrategy. Well, let me just tackle that real quick first. MicroStrategy price is a function primarily of the Bitcoin price, and then the NAV premium. NAV premium for MicroStrategy now is about 1.63. It fell down from 1.8 something. That's why MicroStrategy is not at a new all-time high. Because last time MicroStrategy made a new all-time high, the NAV premium is about 2.7, so it's a lot lower now. So everybody bear that in mind. Watch those two things when you try and price things. And also, be careful out there. Take some risk. Thank you all. See you all tomorrow. Have a good night.